Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot. Oh my! It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Psychic medium Helene Olsen and paranormal researcher Patricia Kirkman. Here are Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Supernatural Girls. I am your host, Patricia Kirkman, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, psychic medium Helene Olsen. Hi, Helene. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you, Patricia?
I'm great. Beautiful day in New England. We got to talk about the weather, you know.
We do, because it's been so warm the last couple of days.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
And
How about you?
This is really the first of it. Kind of late this year, isn't it?
It is. We've been freezing our tootsies off for too long. This feels very good, very good. I want more.
It did feel good today. Yeah, it did feel good. Usually we're complaining by now, but I think everybody's just happy. We got some warmth for a couple of days, and then it's supposed to get cooler again tomorrow.
Is it really? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Well, I'm near the coast, and you're not, so maybe it's going to be warm out your way, but it's going to be cooler here.
Oh, boy.
Mm.
Well, so many supernatural things are happening today. I'm hearing about more and more UFO sightings all over the world, and it seems like people are waking up to their own intuition and remembering their dreams better and all kinds of things. Is that what you're hearing with the people you work with?
Yes, and I've been hearing it for several years, and I think it's because of all of the energy bombarding the planet in the last several years, you know, and obviously there's been some huge gateways and different things that have come through as well, but really what's happened is the veil itself, the wall between worlds, is actually thinner and more permeable.
Mm-hmm.
So anybody who is sort of in a blank state of mind or feels they're not intuitive is suddenly surprised by seeing
I guess
something,
they are,
or hearing something, or having a true experience in a dream, which I don't mean as a real, like, brain dream, but more like astral travel or a real experience in another dimension.
Well, it's very
You've
exciting
been hearing that
time.
as well, too, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm hearing it from so many people, and it's very exciting. It's something that, of course, I enjoy in my own life, and I know you do in yours, but it's great hearing this from other people. And we've had some terrific responses from the prayer circle we've been doing also. Prayers for Becky, which is also for everyone who calls in or listens to the show, and we're going to do that again a week from tomorrow. So people are reporting all kinds of incredible experiences just from listening to our prayer circle, so we're happy to continue that.
Yeah, those are pretty powerful. I mean, you and I are like batteries, and we're able to open. And honestly, anybody who calls does not have to be psychic or hear voices or anything like that.
Yeah.
But what really happens is the energy, because they're connecting in their intent, the energy comes right over to them. And even people who say, you know, I've never heard a message from any being or anything, they get messages. And the messages may not be a voice, it might be a clear thought that they certainly recognize as not their own. And so it's been quite an experience for a lot of people, especially Becky, which is nice.
My. Which is great, because, as you know, I asked Becky the day after the prayer circle, and actually it was the day after one of our sessions when we do spirit work, and this is something that we haven't yet shared completely with our audience, but we do contact spirit situations, let's put it that way, every week. And in this one particular session, which happened this week, we saw our spirit team leader on the other side sitting next to Becky and patting her right hand. And the next day I said to Becky, how was it? Did you feel anything? She goes, yeah, somebody was patting my right hand. It was great confirmation These are the kinds of things we look for. We know it's all happening, it's real, and Becky's feeling better. We're both very happy to report. But it's great when you hear something like that. She's like, yeah. And in fact, she said, I remember looking at my hand, wondering who was touching it. Well, we know who it was.
Yeah.
So now she does too. And it's all very exciting. So we hope everybody listening will join us. If you can't join us at 7:30 a week from Thursday, then you can always listen to the archive. It's just as powerful.
Yes, it is. Yeah, the energy really does get imprinted on the recording. So.
It really does. It's amazing.
Yeah,
well,
I know.
Yeah. Tonight we've got just such an exciting show. We have a wonderful guest who's going to be talking about angelic communication, Dimitri Moraitis, and we're going to start it off with Patricia Kirkman. Patricia is going to be talking to us about yet another star of supernatural, but unfortunately this supernatural star was killed off, and he was one of my favorite characters. Jim Beaver, otherwise known as Bobby Singer. Patricia, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I'm happy to be here this evening. And it's really very interesting when you were talking about the spiritual side being so strong. We have to remember that this year is universally a 7th spiritual year, which is making things multiply even more so for us. So we're getting those feelings about the other side a lot more clearly than we have for a long time.
Aha, that makes sense.
It does make sense, yeah.
One of the things I've taken a look at, that poor baby had to leave Bobby Singer. He's such a doll, too.
Isn't he a sweetheart? One of my favorites.
Well, you know the funny part about this young man, I like to say young man because he certainly is that to me, but he is such a talent. I don't know if any of you are aware of how many stories he has written and how many plays, screens, etc. that he has been in. It's a phenomenal array. He's done everything from writing for Alfred Hitchcock, and who would have thought that?
Really?
Yes, and he has done a lot of research on George Reeves, who played Superman, and he was into that to the nth degree. And he's done his memoirs and the life story of him, and it was published in 2009, but he's very much the authority, and he's been working on it for a lot of years. Very, very talented man.
Oh, I guess, because there was a lot of controversy around George Reeves' death, wasn't there?
And that's what he's been researching all these years, and he's still, even though the book is finished and he's got other things going, he's still involved with that. It's not a done deal yet for him.
But he's quite a detective.
Oh, most definitely. He's very much a historian.
Okay.
And that I found that quite interesting because everything from stage, films, actors, plays, screenwriter, director, film historian, and I'm going, wow, what hasn't he done?
Gee, I had no idea. I just knew I liked him on Supernatural, and I was really upset when they killed him off.
Well, did you know he was married to, remember Get Smart, Don Adams on Get Smart?
Yeah.
He was married to his daughter.
No way.
Yeah, and she passed away in 2004 of cancer. But they were married in 1989. But it was a very good relationship and very, very balanced. But he's very much a perfectionist at what he does. And he's very much a student all the time. He knows who he is, but when he has something to say, he doesn't take prisoners. He just puts it all out there on the table. But the funny part that is, but when it comes to his work, his creative stuff is just way off the charts. He's just up there and coming. He's got a lot more he's going to be doing. We're going to be quite surprised because, you know, in 2013, there was a buzz about him being put up for an Emmy, but he wasn't nominated at the end.
Oh,
but they thought he was
shame.
going to get. So there's more coming from him. They may have killed him off on that show, but he's coming back loud and strong.
Well, I hope that they'll put him back on Supernatural for some, in some way, because I know they brought him back briefly as a ghost, but he just added so much to the show, and he was kind of like the dad that the two boys didn't have, and I just missed him so much when they removed him from the show. And I know I wasn't the only one. There were a lot of fans that were very upset by that decision made by the writers and the producers. So it's
foolish on their part because they lost somebody that made such a big impact that people wanted to come back and see what was coming next.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, do you see that in his future? Do you see any supernatural shows coming up for him?
Yes, I believe there will be, and in fact, I think he's working on writing one.
Oh, good.
Mm-hmm. So he's right on top of the things that were going. And, he was raised in Irving, Texas, that's where he went to high school. And it was funny to find out the ZZ Top drummer, Frank Beard, and he went to high school together.
That's too funny.
Go from one extreme to the other.
Oh, my. Now, what is his number? I mean, what is his fate number and all of that kind of stuff?
Well,
what does it look like for him?
he has a 17-8 destiny number. So he's here to shake, rattle, and roll and make things happen. He's very sensitive, but sensitive to what he's doing. He puts himself into everything he does to the nth degree. He knows who he is. He's got a bit of an ego, but he's very flexible with it. And he's not afraid of doing anything that's different. In fact, he looks for the things that are different. He's very involved with the world at large, anything that deals with the creative side, the actor side, but he likes to give it a push, one step above and beyond. Like you were talking about before, this world and the other, just that small step in between. Well, that's how he is when he does things. He's one step here, but that giant step to the other side of what he's doing and working on is just phenomenal.
Now,
we're going to hear
intuitive?
a lot more from him. Yes, he is, but not in the conventional way that we think of people as being intuitive. He's creative, and he keeps putting these creative aspects out there. It's like he's looking for the four-leaf clover that's got more to show for it. But he is very, very, when it comes to anything to do with his work, he's ultra, ultra creative. And he holds no prisoners. He just goes for it. Very flexible about how he works with things. But he is very sensitive. And I was surprised at how long he was married once before, actually. It only lasted a couple of years, if that. But then a long time separated, or single, I should say. And then when he married Don Adams' daughter, the thing is he's never remarried. She's been gone since 2004. And everything he does is in his work. That's where he goes.
Well, it sounds like she was the love
himself.
of his life, and that must have been a terrible blow, losing her that way to a horrible disease. So I just can't imagine the sadness of that. And yeah, sometimes it's hard. When everybody knows who's found their soulmate, it's very hard to lose them, and there's no such thing as a replacement. That's for sure.
Oh, that's a definite. But I think one of the things is that it's put him into his work and his creative side. It just knows no bounds. His type of you can't typecast him. He is so many different people. That's what's going to be interesting about what we see him do and how he does it.
Well, I can't wait to see him in the next thing because we've really missed him on Supernatural. All of the fans that enjoyed Bobby Singer.
Well, and the fact of what I'm looking at here more than anything else, he's in his 9 years, so there's a lot of things coming. He's wrapping up some elements to make way for some very new items to take place very soon. I'd look for something to happen in a very positive way, say just about the end of the year, just about maybe a little before or a little after.
Okay. My eyes are peeled.
That's where we're going to find him.
We're waiting to see what you're going to do next, Jim Beaver.
That's for sure.
Well, Patricia, thank you so much for joining us at the beginning of our show, as you do every Wednesday night. And next week, we're moving on to a bunch of new stars from another
That's right.
So
it's going to be interesting.
Really got to keep listening if you want to hear about your favorite. And if you want to hear about somebody that we haven't mentioned yet, then just drop us an email at supernaturalgirls.com. You will find our contact information, and we're happy to put them on the list. Patricia, thank you so much.
Thank you, Patricia.
You're welcome, and have a fabulous show, ladies. Look forward to hearing the rest of it. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye. Wow, another exciting personality from that great show, Supernatural, on television. And
well, you posted a picture of him on Supernatural Girls' website, and I looked at the picture, Patricia. And even though the picture looks a little bit hard, I know he's an actor, but I could see that he was a nice man underneath that.
It looks that way, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does it feel that way to you?
It feels like he's a nice man, yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I think they should have left him on the show, too. And he sounds a lot like the other guys that she did the numbers for. Very much a perfectionist, very creative. Mm-hmm. It seems like he fit right in with that team of people.
I wonder why he left.
I don't know why they wrote him out. I guess we're going to have to, at some point, interview one of the producers or the writers and find out what they were thinking. And just say, what were you thinking?
Maybe he wanted to move on.
Maybe
he wanted to move on to something else.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No.
It's usually not that way.
Mm.
You don't usually want to move on.
You're at the mercy of them, yeah.
You're totally at the mercy of them, yes. But now we are moving on to your bailiwick, the angelic realm.
My favorite topic.
It is. So I can't wait I'm going to sit back and listen to this discussion between you and Dimitri. So let me bring our wonderful guest on the air, and this is Dimitri Moraitis. He is the co-author of Communing with the Divine, and Dimitri is also the co-founder and executive director of the Spiritual Arts Institute. He is an accomplished teacher and spiritual healer. He's also the co-author of Karma and Reincarnation, The Healing Power of Your Aura, and Change Your Aura, Change Your Life. So all of our favorite topics. Dimitri, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me on. It's a delight to be here.
So we want to know, how did you get into this? How did you step into this great interest?
The metaphysical world, huh? Well,
yeah,
it was an interesting story because I originally started in a different path. I was building a career in film and television, and that was actually going quite well. And like many people, I had a very dramatic spiritual awakening, which I didn't even identify as that at first. I was thinking more in terms of I'm having these inspirational moments, and they just kept getting more and more intense. And finally, I made the connection to the metaphysical, and that started me on that journey. And I don't know if you know the film world, but it's kind of a jealous mistress. It doesn't like you to share the platform with others, and I realized I couldn't really pursue both with the same intensity that I wanted to, and so the metaphysical kind of became my journey. Soon after that, I met Barbara, who was, one of the world's most authority on the aura and wonderful, incredible spiritual teacher, and I recognized her as my spiritual teacher. And so I started as her student, and we soon recognized that we were both writers. We liked to write, and then she started training me eventually to teach myself, and we started the institute, and it all kind of blossomed from there. So it was an interesting journey, kind of starting in one direction and then making a dramatic turn into this new field there. So, but it's been a fascinating trip every step of the way. I don't know how many have been now in it, 30 years, and very excited when I started. More excited now, and how many things do you say that about? That you're more excited in the journey than you were when you started it, and you were pretty excited then too.
Don't you find most people on a spiritual journey end up saying that, though?
More and more. Now some get a little, gee, where do I go from here? I'm still looking for my purpose. Seems to be there's a lot of that issue that comes up lately, but definitely the spark is there. And as another phenomena that, of course, it's a global phenomena, and it has no really center point of origin. It's sort of like this wellspring of awakening that's happening in all parts of the world. And that's very exciting in our classes. We do these internet classes, and they're from all over. They're not just the United States. So people are having the awakening in all parts of the world.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Amazing. So what can you tell our audience about angels themselves that gives us a little bit of background on, well, let me start with, I guess the question I get asked most frequently is about their personalities.
Well, this is an interesting question because we have to understand what an angel actually is. And if we go from the traditional, religious, original, that's where a lot of our knowledge was based from, and then now it's kind of grown into some metaphysical understanding. And, of course, we're also not just talking about angels, we're talking about a whole spiritual hierarchy. There is an entire network, and it's extremely well organized, and it is not exclusive to one group of people or one culture. It's a universal. We may call it different names in different parts of the world. Different cultures may refer to it slightly differently, but it's the same hierarchy for all humanity. And I think the best way to understand it is there's a Kabbalistic axiom that says a stone becomes a plant an animal a man a God. And what they're trying to say there is that life is in this perpetual process of evolution. And we grow in evolution from kingdom to kingdom. So, for example, all of us are in the human kingdom. We call it the human kingdom. Well, metaphysics would define that as a particular level of consciousness and soul development. So regardless if we're enlightened or we're unenlightened or evolved or devolved, we're still part of the human experience, and we're growing in that experience. Well, it's going to reach a culmination stage where basically as a human we have gathered all the knowledge, all the wisdom that we possibly can as a human being. And at that point you say, well, what happens? Well, they asked the great mystic...
You're saying we individually evolve. Is that what you're saying? Or
Exactly. Yeah, like, in other words, we will pass the stage where we kind of return back to our source as a co-creative being after going through this pilgrimage of evolution, which is a long pilgrimage, but in terms of eternity, it's not that long.
No.
And then when you finish, some say, well, gee, are you going to kind of float on clouds and play harps? Are you kind of done with it all?
Yeah.
And Helena Blavatsky said it wonderfully. She said, no, you will grow from perfection to perfection. Mm-hmm. So from there you will grow into an entire other kingdom. And the kingdom above the human is the angelic. So the angels are in a they're not human at all. They're in a completely different kingdom from the human. They're the next level up, like we are above the animals. And their job is to continue to evolve in their kingdom, but also to help their younger brothers and sisters, which is us. Now, you talked about personality, and this is a very important point to understand, and from understanding the aura, too. They're not human, so they don't have the same personalities that you and I have. So here's what they teach us and what we teach in our classes. They recognize they're in a very different vibratory state than us. So they say, look, we will step down our vibration to meet you, but you have to step up your vibration to meet us. And in the auric field, we know there's the 7 chakras, but many people don't realize there's another chakra above the head about 2 feet.
Oh, and the higher crown,
beyond the crown, actually. It's it's called the higher self point of spiritual knowing. And this is the link to the divine realms beyond, and they cannot descend any lower than this, but we have to raise our vibration up to them. And that's where we can really have their experience. We reach them through vibration and light. When I first had my experiences, with them, I didn't even realize it was them, but it was this very heightened level of awareness, this tremendous clarity, definiteness. It was just an exhilarating experience. I just thought, oh, gee, I'm having this wonderful moment. But really it was their vibration coming around me, giving me this tremendous sort of insight at those moments. And that's how they primarily start their communication. And then, of course, it builds from there. So one of the things that is very important, I don't remember like in the story of Moses going before the burning bush and having the experience of the divine, the first thing the divine said to Moses, and he had this serious problem, right? How am I going to deal with the Egyptians and all of that stuff? They said, take your shoes off, for the ground on which you stand is holy. And shoes metaphysically means earth understanding, earth power. So interestingly enough, often we go to the higher because we have a problem, we have a concern, we want help, we want guidance. But the first thing they say is, let go of the worry. Let go of the outcome. Let go of everything. And just get in tune with the divine, get in tune with our vibration. And when you do that, then your answers can come. So that's the best way to start to reach them. So we're not thinking of them so much as a personality as much as we're thinking of them as light and vibration. Now, many people confuse the angels with the spirit guides, and they put the two almost in the same camp, and maybe that's where the idea of personality or more human understanding. The spirit guides are completely different from the angels. The spirit guides are human. The spirit guides are human beings that have evolved to a certain level of enlightenment and direct connection with the higher. They're on the other side, and they can act as a link to the angels. But because they're a lot closer to us in vibration than the angels are, it's easier for us to associate with them and kind of think of them like a friend or a pal or in that way. And that makes it easier. This is why sometimes the holy ones will work with relatives from the other side. They're not really our guides, but they will work with relatives because, let's say, if I have a favorite uncle and he's on the other side and I have a problem, well, I will respond to that vibration of that uncle sometimes easier than actually if literally an angel came into my presence, because I know the vibration.
Dimitri, if I can interrupt for 1 second, when Helene and I do our spirit connection work, and we do this weekly, we are able to discern the difference between one angel and one archangel and another. They come across differently energetically.
Exactly.
So whether you want
Very
to call them a personality or not, but we know which one is which or who is who, right, Helene? I mean, we're able to determine that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're really good at identifying themselves, and also just the imprint. You know, we've been working with angels for years, too, so it's kind of like, yes, the protection has to be in place and all of that good stuff, but you get to recognize the frequency signature after a while. And so they do come through, and they do come through slightly different. But I guess what my question was really about is that a lot of people would like to talk to angels.
Mm-hmm.
And when angels come through, each of their signatures is different. And so some of them are more, I guess the word would be soft or kindly or slightly flat or very fierce. Angels are very fierce. They're not, fuzzy little kitties that people think they are. And so it's interesting that people most often ask me what are their personalities like, but my opinion is they don't really have personalities.
Exactly.
They're not human, just the way you said.
Exactly.
But
exactly.
Have you found that there's a difference between talking to, say, Archangel Michael and Archangel Uriel or something like that,
Oh, gigantic difference.
Yeah.
Again, these are, we have to realize that they are, they have their specialties just like we are. They have their own, maybe rather than call it personality, they have their own celestial character. They have their own,
that's a good way of putting it.
And that is very unique to them. They are, I mean, we tend to, as exalted as they are, we tend to sometimes idealize them and think that they are actually, like God and they can do anything. And they're on the evolutionary path just like we are, but they are further along. And
they're also in service to us. And so, perfection is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. I can't say that I found them to be 110% perfect every single time. They do the best they can, too. They're taking a long view of things sometimes.
Well, it's interesting because the difference between, let's say, an angel and an archangel, with the archangel now you're dealing with a kingdom separate from the angels. So now it's a separate kingdom entirely. The angels take their lead from the archangels. The archangels are, it's better to think of them more like almost like the generals. They're the leaders. They have legions of angelic beings under their command.
Right.
And really, when you're talking about an archangel, you're really talking about an entire office.
Right.
It's a little bit like saying the president.
I see them come in together a lot, though.
Oh,
so
yeah.
When you say that,
they will use
when
the
you say
angels.
the kingdoms are separate, it's sort of, that's interesting.
Well, separate in terms of, we may have an animal and a human together, but they're not in the same kingdom. So they will definitely work together. Oh, no, it's not like they're isolated. As a matter of fact, most often the archangels will work through the angels rather than directly themselves. But they will definitely come in as groups. And like, for example, Michael, of course, brings in the dynamic energies extremely. So if you need courage or confidence or wisdom, Michael is the one to call on. Uriel is the complement to that. Uriel is the magnetic. She brings in the love, the peace, the compassion, the generosity. So if we're it depends on what consciousness we're trying to build in us. These archangels have their specialties. Now, it's not that Michael's not loving too, but it's just his official office, his work. Now, we work a lot with spiritual energy, so when in our classes we teach a lot that the first way we usually teach about the hierarchy is in relation to working with energy. So in the aura, for example, gold is the color, the energy of confidence and wisdom. Once you get used to working with that ray, then we generally go into, well, the celestial beings that bring that in are the angels of the wisdom light and Archangel Michael. And as you call in that hierarchical energy, the connection is much more beautiful and even more profound, and hopefully it's making a lasting change in you.
And Michael comes in with a sword. So how does that fit into this?
Well, some of this is symbolic. I mean, in other words, we're talking about energy and power. So the sword and the shield that's often depicted traditionally, that's a little bit symbolic in the sense. Now, he is in charge of what's called the orange-red flame of purification. That is a cutting loose energy. So, example, let's say I have an obsessive thought. I just can't get rid of this. I don't want it, but it's just like I'm having these dark thoughts for whatever reason. The orange-red flame can cut that energy loose. It's under Michael. So if you want to envision that as sort of like a sword cutting that loose, that can be a helpful visual tool to see it leaving your consciousness. It's a very powerful energy, the orange-red flame. As long as we're on this earth, there's always going to be something that we're going to need cleansing from. It's we're going to get a little mud on our feet here and there. It's part of the earth experience, and that orange-red flame is extremely helpful, and of course Michael's responsible for bringing it. The shield represents his ability to bring in the protective powers. So now they all have protective energies, but he particularly is the one that brings in the golden light of protection. We encourage everybody to keep a golden bubble of light around them. That's their spiritual shield. People say, well, protection from what? Well, we live in a sea of energy, and not all that energy is beautiful.
It's not.
Yeah, and having that protective light helps a heck of a lot.
It does.
Well, we've heard before where there's that much light, then that much darkness can be attracted to it. Now, when you work with people in your classes, have you found that people who are working with the angels sometimes inadvertently are attracted to some of the darker forces?
Well, they may deal with it. I have to say one of the better things of working in the classes is you do meet some incredible people. When we used to do many of the aura lectures and Barbara would do readings, I noticed not too many dark auras showed up there because they didn't want to have their auras
No, they
revealed.
don't come near the light so much.
Yeah, so they kind of stay away. Once in a while it popped up. Barbara told a great story once about she was doing a lecture and she saw someone with kind of a black energy, and that's like a murderous, almost rage energy, and she picked up he was planning to murder his wife, and there was a niece next to her, and she warned her, and literally that turned out to be the truth, and literally averted a potential murder at that moment. So
wow.
These energies do show up. The aura does not lie. We can kind of lie to ourselves or lie to each other, but the energies are there. Now, one of the things we do share in the book is, and this is something Barbara taught me very strongly right at the beginning, is, when we get so excited with all the light and all the possibility, sometimes we get a little bit euphoric and we start to think that kind of, everybody shares in our same enthusiasm, everybody's in the light, everybody's thinking positive, and we don't realize that there are dark energies there. And there are, these angels that we're talking about, they're not doing what they're doing because they have no free will. They're doing it out of free will. And some of them are, going against the free will. They have that choice. And so there are these lower spirits. And we do have to keep that protection, not only from the negativity of maybe people around here, but sort of these lower spirit energies that sometimes will masquerade or pretend they're in the light, and but they're not, and they're really trying to steal our light. The good news is no dark energy can enter our aura unless we permit it, but the challenge is sometimes we do permit it, You know,
we do, and
yeah.
I've run across a few people who have, and I'm interested in your commentary on this, who have opened or awakened, however you want to put it, and have actually been kind of egocentric in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're begging for more power, and they don't really care where it comes from. And I've seen a couple of these people get into trouble with that. Have you found that at all?
You mean they spiritually awaken, but they kind of make it their own thing?
Yeah.
Like maybe they're going to, yeah.
Yeah, and they're going to be better than everybody, and that's all they want
Right.
is more power, more connection. And what has happened to these couple of people I've met over the years is they've actually attracted darker energy that paraded as light, and
you are
they
100% correct.
they didn't choose to identify it or protect themselves properly because they just felt like they were getting more power, and they actually ended up in a lot of spiritual trouble. And fortunately, the two of them that I know did get cleared up. But
well, I'm glad to hear
I'm
that.
I'm wondering how often you see that.
Well, you're hitting on an extremely important topic, and probably one of the greatest tests each of us will have in our evolution. Because exactly right, when you have some of these spiritual experiences, it can be very elating, very invigorating, and if you're not careful, if you turn it back to yourself, you can start to think, like you said, hey, I'm great stuff. You know, I'm the cat's meow. I'm where it's at, baby. You know, and it becomes an ego-oriented thing. And exactly right, that can actually inadvertently invite the lower energies because they welcome that, you know, and that opens the door to them. It's a test for us. It's a test for us to see if these energies we were going to take onto ourselves, or we're going to do it in glory of the divine. We have to pass that test. This is what is the test of what they call the black magician. You know, the black magician is actually an advanced soul who misuses those powers for selfish ends, and they have power. They're not a counterfeit in that way.
No, they're not weak. They're not weak.
Exactly. Exactly. You hit the nail on the head, and that's where people get confused. You know, and then, as you said, there'll be a comeuppance one day. Barbara shared a story early in her career, you know, her life, even as a teenager. She had so many gifts open up so fast. Like in high school, she'd know what the teacher was going to ask. She'd know the answer to the question before even the teacher asked it, you know. That she did get a little cocky, you know, because she didn't work at the time. It didn't seem like she worked to get any of these things. And the Holy Ones gave her a lesson. They withdrew it all. And for a period of time, there was nothing, no clairvoyance, no nothing, you know. And
and they will leave people. They will. They don't.
Well, they're not going to waste their time.
No, they don't. They don't dally around too much. You know.
Exactly. And then she got the lesson. Oh my gosh, this is not coming from me. This is coming through me. And it is sad because when this happens to people, it does delay their progress. Because especially in the classes when people do have, let's say, you know, they see the light or they do have an angelic visitation or something, sometimes they confuse that and think they've already arrived at their destination, when simply it's an encouragement, you know, to stay on the path, keep what you're doing.
It's an eternal path, I think, in a way.
Yeah. But humbleness, in the end, it's humility, you know, learning. If you can be
humility,
invested.
Have you found that you can really teach humility?
Well, life teaches it to us.
I know life teaches it, but some people need to learn humility, but I think that they come in sort of lacking it a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it's very difficult for them to get to the level of humility with this.
Well, we usually get knocked down a little bit. You know, life will knock us around a little bit, kind of hurt, you know. At the time we'll think, God, why are you picking on me? You know, why am I getting the short end of the lollipop here? You know, but it really is just to cut the ego down. And this brings up a very important point. A big mistake people make with angels is they treat them like servants. They treat them like, you know, I need this angel, I need that, I need that, I need that, I need that.
Really?
And we find that a lot. Oh,
really?
It's a common mistake. I need more money. I need you to help me find this person. I need you to fix my job. I need you to, you know. And they don't realize that their job is not to help us, win the lottery numbers.
I have a funny story about that. You brought it up. My own mother years ago, and I love her dearly. She's just a gem. Said to me, "If the angels are around you all the time, why haven't you hit the lottery yet?" And she's
That's
the
a fair
kindest
question.
person, okay?
Okay, all right, Mama.
So the thing is, first of all, you got to buy a lottery ticket. But beside that, Dimitri, it was like they bring me blessings every single day. I don't ask. I don't ask them for anything,
Well, good for you. You didn't fall into that trap, you see.
No, but it was hard for her to understand that. But they're there, so ask them, And I did ask them last year, and they saved my husband's life, and that's the kind of miracle I want. Do you see what I'm saying? So it wasn't
the lottery.
Selfish,
no, They're not here to do our growing for us. If everyone won the lot, But the other thing the Mom realizes, Mom, maybe you're a little bit more in touch with the angels, but they're working with your mom as much as they are with you.
Oh, they sure are.
So she just needs to pay attention to it more.
She just had that question, which is sort of a kind of routine question that people ask about this stuff. Well, if you are so with the angels, then why haven't you hit the lottery? It's always that question.
The same question, why do bad things happen to good people? If we all have a guardian angel, if we have a, And again, if they did it for us, we would never grow. We would never grow. And that's another
true,
mistake.
But we're also living in the human experience, which things just come into our circle sometimes that we have a little control over,
Exactly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, last week's guest, Tony Wright, was talking about the return to the brain of Eden, and one of the things he said over and over again that Helene and I were laughing about, but we really felt was true, is that we're living in a kind of insanity where the left brain is king, and it's kind of ass backwards. The way it should be is the creative, spiritual side on top, and the left brain there to do the bidding, but it's turned itself around through the development in our culture and our society, and it has made us a little crazy so that we do think that we are owed a certain type of lifestyle or, freedom from anything that we would consider to be bad, but at the same time, that is how we learn, that is how we grow. Not that I recommend any of these difficult paths. They're difficult. Nobody really wants to walk down them and encounter all the thorns and potholes and things like that. But it does, as you said, it makes us grow. It makes us question the decisions that we're making and how we're going to proceed from here. So it is a growth experience, and we're all responsible for ourselves. But certainly it does seem that this imbalance from between the left brain and the right brain is simply
it's a process. Yeah. Alice Bailey, that spoke a lot about the 7 rays, was talking about how we're very much in an age of the 5th ray as a humanity, which is the more scientific thinking, and we had been coming out of an age more of faith, a 6th ray energy. So we are going through a phase where we're trying to strengthen the intellectual powers as a planet, which is important. We need that because otherwise we will be hopelessly in superstitions, and there'll be lack of clarity. So we need the intellect, but as you say, we have to learn, of course, just not to make it a god. It is a tool for the inspiration. Not a single original thought comes from the intellect. The original thinking comes from the inspirational mind. The intellect is really a processing mind. It takes the inspirational idea and puts it into a practical application. So we need very much both. We need to first, what we say in our classes is your mind is first a receiving station and then a transmitting station. So you need to receive that idea first and be open and learn all the techniques to bring it into your consciousness. Then you need a strong intellect to put that idea into practical active use, and then you got the best of both worlds.
That makes sense.
There's a wonderful story. I used to, played a lot of music in my life, a lot of piano, and Beethoven, by the time he was 12, he had mastered every phase of music, basically. They used to take a test about then. So all the technique, all the, shall we say, talent and intellectual energy he already had at 12 years old developed. But they said later, if you would even have lunch with him, he would sometimes get this wild look on his face. His eyes would go kind of a little wild. You knew some idea was coming into his mind. He'd say, lunch over, I got to go. He completely listened to his muse. Thank God he did, or he wouldn't have that music.
That's for sure.
And that's what we have to do. Many people get the prompting, but they either don't trust it or they don't act on it, and then it's like a bloom. It withers on the tree. We've got to. Those inspirations are not coming frivolously. The higher doesn't bless us with inspiration just because they don't have anything better to do. They want us to use that information and apply it.
But haven't you found that a lot of creative people are constantly being divinely inspired? I mean, they might not even be consciously aware of it in an awake state, but they've told me so many times that some song I hear on the radio, we gave him that,
Right.
And it's like, I don't think the artist is aware that that's where the inspiration is coming from, but, the angelic realm or divine beings want this positive energy put forward, and so they find a way to inspire these creative people who have an opening.
Absolutely. Now, as you said, they may not understand it that way, but they have learned to listen to their muse, so to speak, and they honor it immediately. What was that lady that wrote The Rose? She said she just woke up one morning and it just came to her. I mean, that beautiful song, The Rose.
And you hear that story a lot,
now, for example, this is not only music. For example, Einstein, the story I heard was that, I don't know if he was playing the violin or the piano or some musical instrument, he wasn't thinking about physics, and suddenly this idea came. He said, I have a marvelous idea. He went upstairs, and no one saw him for 2 weeks as he started to kind of hammer out what was an idea that would change the world forever, So it started as an inspiration. Now, interestingly enough, later in life, he tried to come up with a unified field theory, combining, the small with the large. He didn't quite succeed, but that was an intellectual pursuit. It was not an inspirational one. So you're absolutely correct. The Holy Ones will bring in the inspiration at the right time to the right channel, and hopefully those people are paying attention and doing what needs to be done. Those divine ideas are not proprietary. There's no copyrights on there. So when you get those great ideas, again, whether it's an inspiration for creative or guidance or direction or something in your business or whatever it is, again, just trust it and act on it. What we say in the book is, the higher is not an adornment to our life. They are the very means for achieving everything in our life. At every moment, from the time we are born to the time we die, whether it's a tragic moment or a triumph moment, they are there. They are helping us. So it's not if they're there, it's how can you make a better communion with them so that you can respond to what they're prompting you with and make it a wonderful partnership, which is what it really is.
That sounds great. Well, right now we have to commune with our sponsors, so I'm going to take a short commercial break. Everybody stay tuned, and if you have a question for Dimitri, give us a call at 646-478-0828. That is 646-478-0828, and we will be right back.
This is Veronique Raskin, founder of the Organic Wine Company. As one of the pioneers of the organic wine movement, since 1980 I have brought you the very best and most authentic organic wines directly to your table. I work with small family estates who grow certified organic grapes and produce exceptional wines. You can purchase our wines individually from our website at theorganicwinecompany.com or join one of our wine clubs. Our organic wines are perfect for you and for your family as gifts for friends and relatives, and they are simply spectacular for the holidays. Visit us at theorganicwinecompany.com to enjoy the very best organic wines conveniently delivered to your door. I am Veronique Raskin, passionate about my mission. I offer to you vegan, organic, and biodynamic wines, wines made by people of the heart, wines with a heart. Au revoir. Call us at 1-888-ECO-WINE.
Are you ready for a new experience of freedom and powerful connection? Would you like a positive, effortless change in your life? Then come to CosmicFusion.com, where we offer the most advanced energy clearing and expansion techniques in the world, with a quantum vortex energy to activate your divine blueprint and life's purpose. When your soul leads the way with cosmic fusion and quantum vortex energy, you can break clear of past difficulties and blocks with the power of the source. With cosmic fusion, the source energy does the work for you. It's easy and effortless. Listen to our free meditation right from our Cosmic Fusion website, the Cosmic Code Meditation. Sign up for one of our interactive webinars today. Come to Cosmic Fusion, www.CosmicFusion.com, to experience an effortless awakening and transformation. Are you ready for an upgrade? Are you ready for a new experience of living in the fifth dimensional magic and powerful connection? Then visit CosmicFusion.com today. CosmicFusion.com.
Your property tax bill. Have you seen it lately? It's frightening. Your property taxes are going up while your home value is going down. It's time to fight back and win. For the real truth about the property tax system, get attorney Pat Quintilian's book, Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Attorney Quintilian answers all your questions and gives you the facts you need to fight a property tax bill that is spiraling out of control. You'll also read about what happens to property owners who don't check their property records, only to find out too late they're taxed on square footage, fixtures, and even buildings that they don't own. Is this happening to you? Learn your rights. Buy attorney Pat Quintilian's book today. Are You Getting Screwed on Your Property Taxes? How to Find Out and How to Fix It. Available on Amazon.com.
Welcome back, everyone. We are speaking with Dimitri Moraitis, and he is the author of Communing with the Divine. His co-author is Barbara Martin. And, Dimitri, we are having a great discussion with you tonight. This is exciting stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Yes.
Well, I have a question that relates to what you were saying earlier. I work with a lot of beginners who are just stepping their foot onto spiritual path work.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the biggest difficulties I find is people walking into that sphere. They believe, but they have a real hard time absolutely getting into trust with their own inspiration and their own channel. And how do you inspire people to have that leap of faith entirely so that they're totally in the flow of trust?
Well, that's an interesting thing because you can feed the rose, you can give it the water and the light and the nourishment it needs, but you can't say bloom today. So
that's true. It's sort of an epiphany that they reach,
that they will have to do themselves. But what we generally say is, because a similar thing they say with desire, gee, I have a desire, I don't know if I have a burning desire for this, but start with whatever spark you have, wherever that trust is, whatever part you do trust. And even if you're taking baby steps at first, it's a muscle that has to be exercised. So if you're not showing a lot of faith at the moment, there is some faith there. So take the faith that you do have and then work with it. Now, the energy of trust and faith is the gold ray. So if people are a little bit in their fear state and their worry and their anxiety, there's not enough of the gold light in the aura, so calling on the gold ray under Archangel Michael and the Angels of Wisdom Light can help infuse the aura with more courage. But there will still have to be that risk. We got to remember, Earth is a schoolhouse. We are visitors here. We're not going to stay here forever. And in the end, what's going to matter is what chances did we take? It's okay to make mistakes. There's nothing wrong with trying something and it not fully working out. You always learn what you learn more from your successes or your failures. You actually learn more from your failures. Mm-hmm. So taking the risk, if you feel it's right, some people ask us when we do our classes on intuition, well, how do I know if it's intuition or just my little brain box doing it? Well, there's a couple things to help do it, but in the end, you won't know 100% until you try it out. Mm-hmm. And if it feels right, give it a shot. If it was wrong, then you'll be the better for it. I see where I got my ego into it. But if it turns out to be right, it will only make the experience stronger the next time, because you got to trust that intuition every day, not just on Sundays, not just on Mondays or Tuesdays. This is a muscle you've got to exercise, like walking, like breathing. It's got to be a regular part of your life. And then however small it starts, you can fan that little spark, into a fire and gradually make it stronger.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it is. It's great advice.
We have a question, actually, from Samuel in Delaware that's right on that very same topic that we're discussing right now. Is it okay to take his question, Dimitri?
Sure. All
right, let's get Samuel on the air. Samuel,
yes.
You are live
Hello.
on the air. What's your question?
Hi. My question is, how do I know that I am receiving guidance from my angels? And in what ways do the angels manifest their guidance within my life? I'm having a hard time really knowing that they're there, and I want to have a more I guess you can say, physical manifestation of them. In what way do they manifest within my life or in other people's lives that, have a yearning for this guidance?
Well, it's a great question you're asking, and it's probably one of the biggest things as far as whether people even have the faith in the angels or not. Well, we don't see them, so how do we know they're there? It's just like asking about God. How do we know God is there? We can't see God. The first thing, the higher teaches is not to look. It's not looking for physical signs. Again, you're looking. That could be deceptive. That can even be the lower masquerading as the higher. When you're looking for the true understanding, first of all, there has to be what again Helene just said. There has to be a certain faith and trust that they really are there. In other words, if you start to be the doubting Thomas, I'll believe it when you show it to me, then you're probably going to wait a long time for that manifestation. So if you start with the idea, okay, I may not be aware of them, I may not understand this completely, but I do believe they are there. Remember, faith leads to knowing. And when you act on faith, when you act on things that you cannot see, but you give substance to that faith, it starts to lead you into the process of experience direct. That's how it works. And then you are going to have to listen to what they call the still small voice within. If you're expecting a giant sign in the sky to say, here I am, I'm the angel Michael, again, you may wait a long time for that experience to happen. But they are prompting you right now, if you can still your mind, to hear the still small voice. If you can trust that voice, if you can act on it, it will get stronger every single day, and you will notice your life is starting to naturally move in a more beautiful rhythm. That's if you're looking for an outer sign, that's the sign. The sign is there's more peace in your heart, there's more confidence in your step. You notice that your life just simply seems to have a better natural rhythm. Not that life suddenly became easy and a piece of cake, but that you seem to handle the curveballs of life with more confidence, more self-assurance. There's just a natural maturity that starts to develop, and that is a sign that you are walking in the spiritual path. When we do the work on the aura, people say, well, gosh, I don't see the aura, I don't see the colors. How do I know when I'm bringing down light if it's really working or not working? You'll see it by how well you are acting in life. If you brought down that deep rose pink for love and you had trouble forgiving people and suddenly you're able to forgive that person, you're able to let that go, you're able to show the kindness to that person you were a little mean to before, there's your outer manifestation. There's your sign that the divine is working. And yes, once in a while, they will give a direct intervention, or you may get a visitation. That can happen, but if you're looking for that as your validation, that's most often not the way they do it. That will be that'll happen at an unexpected time when you're not expecting it. Maybe an angel will come and kiss you on the cheek, or maybe, you'll get some vision that you completely were not expecting. That will be their way of saying, good job, you're on the right road, keep going. Yeah, good, very good question. It's a big question that many, many people ask.
Well, thank you for your call, Samuel. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's great. I have another question. It just seems like these questions are flowing right one into another. Another question from the chat room is about intervention, and it's about why do the angels intervene with some people in a dramatic way, like a life rescue or something like that, and not with others?
Well, that's a great question, and of course it's not always, each case has to be looked at on its own terms. First of all, there are many times that they will intervene and try to, I wouldn't say they intervene, but they will try to say, hey, Dimitri, go to the right, not to the left here. And sometimes we just pick it up better than other times, But if something is dramatic about to happen and it really goes against the plan, and they know that, if I, let's say, fall into that mode or someone they will kind of really get off the box a lot. They sometimes, once in a while, will literally intervene and redirect the energy so that we can stay in the divine plan. For example, on a global level, the Holy Ones have shared that 3 times they have actually had to intervene in world affairs to prevent what, and especially in the Cold War days, would have been a nuclear exchange. Mm-hmm. One time we know it was the famous case of the Cuban Missile Crisis. The truth of the matter, from what they say, is that had they not intervened, that situation could have easily escalated into an actual nuclear war. Mm. But the devastation that would have caused would have thrown the plan of life so out of kilter that they had to intervene and stop it at that point. So there are moments where they will do that as a collective humanity, and there will be moments when they do it individually. We may be aware of it, but we may not always be aware that it's happening, but yet it's still in their hands. Again, we also don't realize, we think sometimes we're kind of doing this all on our own, and we really don't realize often how much our life is already in their hands, how much we're already in their care, just like a little child may not realize all that the parent is doing for them. They just know what's in their own little world of activity. Mm-hmm. In the same way, these angels, you can think of them almost like celestial parents. They're doing so much for us that we're not even aware of. And that's already a support mechanism.
So they're aware of a greater plan, and if it fits in with the greater plan to provide that intervention, they will do so. So they just have a greater awareness, it sounds like, of what's coming and what's to be and how we're supposed to be evolving. And yeah.
Well, that's kind of what happened to me, though.
Oh, yeah?
I didn't even know angels existed.
Oh, that's interesting. And you had
experience? And they landed on my head one day, Dimitri. And it was not a happy day.
Did you say it was a happy day?
It was not a happy day.
Oh, it was not a happy day?
No, I thought I had lost my mind.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they were very, very strong and very present and very standing in front of me.
Well, it's interesting that you're saying that because once in a while people will say, when they do actually see an angel, they get scared. They think, gosh, am I dying?
No, I didn't think I was dying. I thought I had actually suddenly developed schizophrenia.
Schizophrenia, oh, wow.
I was too old for that, but the thing is that they were so fierce and so forceful, and the vibration of them was basically frying me. And so I honestly didn't know what was going on, and it took me about 6 months of 10-hour-a-day interaction with them to figure it out. And it wasn't fun. I have to tell you, it wasn't.
Interesting. Now, were you going to?
It wasn't fun. Why did you do that to me? Because you were not on your path as you were meant to be.
Oh wow! Well, lucky you that they did that for you. Lucky
they
you.
Can be. Well, now I feel lucky, but those 6 months I didn't.
Now, were you going through a difficult time when they
not
made
at all.
Oh no.
Nope.
Okay, they just somehow felt this is the time to connect with you.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've often wondered myself why they pick certain moments to do certain things, and I look at my own.
Well, actually, I'll backtrack just a teeny bit. Is I had a hobby of tarot cards. I had great faith in God all my life. I was a kind person, whatever you want to say. Certainly nowhere near perfect. Just ask my kids anyway. But the thing is that I was working with tarot cards and so forth. And so I guess my psychic muscle was being exercised, and so they just saw the opening and swooped in.
Well, beautiful. Beautiful.
Well, now
How long
it is,
ago did
but
that
it wasn't at the time.
Now, Helene, when
horrifying.
you had the angel sitting on your head, where is Metatron in that? Because I know he visits you a lot. Did he come in
He was the
at that
second
time?
angel that came.
Aha.
Yeah. And he was very scary, I have to say, because it was like my whole channel opened. And seeing angels for what they really, really, truly are is not a beautiful figure with wings. It's a huge ball of energy, with rays off of it. It's not the way they trigger our mind to see an icon so that they know it's them if you see pictures. And so he was very overwhelming. And he is very overwhelming anyway.
Well, this is why they do have to be careful with us, because the vibration can come across as you said, scary. The Old Testament, when they say, fear God, actually the definition back then didn't mean fear in the terms of being scared. It was fear. The word meant back then awe, awe-inspiring awe. So it reflected exactly what you said. To have some of these high visitations was a humbling, awe-inspiring, experience to realize the vastness of what is really out there.
Well, it was confusing because I didn't know anything. I didn't know a single thing about angels. And I thought, and I want people to understand this, which is why I brought it up at all, I thought that because I was talking to an angel, that it was the same as talking to God, that I had to do everything they asked, that I had to be there every time they wanted to talk, that I couldn't say no on any level. And that's simply not true. They're in service to humanity. They're our partners. They're our divine inspiration and guidance. But really, we can have our own boundaries here. We can say, I will talk to you in an hour, or I need to take care of my children, or whatever it is, because angels are very persistent when they want you to be on a path. And as you found out yourself, Dimitri, once you started getting some of this years ago, it was like a hole that you can't fill sometimes, that you have to keep going back and being in that light. And so there is a balance that's required with being in touch with divine realms, and that is that we also have to live here, right?
Yes, and eventually, of course, what happens is the two become as one.
Yes.
You're eventually, what we're trying to do is, someone asked in a lecture once, well, gee, how much time do I dedicate to my earth life, how much to my spiritual life? And, of course, a house divided does not stand. As we transform the outer, through the inner, literally our life becomes a prayer, and we are instead of momentary communion with a higher, it becomes sort of a living thing. But to perhaps embellish on what you're saying there, when people have an inspiration, part of the job, what we say in our work with meditation, it's one thing to bring in the light, let's say the love ray, it's another thing to live it, and so you bring in that rose pink, you have it in your heart, but then you have to go out and embody it. So the holy ones will only come for a certain period of time, because then they will want to see, well, gee, are they implementing what we're giving them? Are they putting it into practice? If they don't, they kind of repeat or they hold till we get it together. As we implement it, then they generally give more and more. So it is a kind of a gradual process. This is not a quick relationship, and it takes years to develop, as you know, a mature relationship. But isn't that true with even friendship here? I mean, as you're friends with somebody for years, the understanding just becomes more beautiful and deeper, and you understand each other better than you did before. And it's the same with these celestial beings, where it takes a while to really build the rapport and get it to where it needs to be.
That's true, but I have run across some people who are sort of energy junkies, that it is sort of a separation inside themselves, that they love being in the energy so much that it becomes sort of a little bit of an obsession for a while.
But as you say, the higher usually they pull back in those situations.
Yes.
They're not going to waste energy if someone is being a little selfish with if we're treating the higher as genies and, rub the lamp and get our every wish, they will withdraw until we kind of get on track. And again, they are purpose. They know our purpose. They know our karma. They know our strengths and weaknesses. So their goal is to help us reach what we came here to do. That's really the bottom line of it, because their assignment is to help realize the divine plan. And another thing they share with us, which they say not just to make us feel good, but as a literal statement of fact, if one soul were missing, creation would not be complete. We are not only important to the divine plan, we're indispensable to the divine plan. And when they look at us, they don't see the individual persona first. They don't see what you and I look at with each other.
Right.
They see that immortal spark that is, part of the infinite process of life, and that's the part they identify with, and that's the part they're trying to bring out in us. So they always see us in our highest, best light, even if we're making every mistake in the book. And that's another reason it's so wonderful to be in their presence, is automatically it helps us see ourselves better, in a higher light. Sometimes we're critical of ourselves. We don't see ourselves in such a good light.
No, that's, I think, one of the biggest problems is that we're at times very unforgiving and self-critical. However, I have a question about angelic energy, because it is very and can be incredibly intense. And even in past, ancient writings or the Bible or whatever, they talk about the fire that burns. And certainly it seems that the angels and archangels are vibrating at a very high rate. And if they did come in contact with us in any kind of an unprotected way, could it be damaging? Could we be smited?
They would guard against that. They wouldn't just bring in, because again, that would I love the way Barbara described this too. Initially, let's say we think of God, let's say as a trillion-watt power station, and we are a 20-watt light bulb in consciousness.
Right.
In consciousness, we cannot take the trillion watts of power. We'd be
That's
fried
right.
to a crisp. So we need the hierarchy. They are the transformers that steps down the energy to a level that we can accept. So the energy is stepped down to something that we can, absorb and use and become part of. It's true once in a while, and as Helene is saying in her own initial cases, even in that case, if our consciousness is in a different place and they're bringing it in, it can still be a bit of a jarring experience temporarily. But my experience with the light over these years has been, just one beautiful moment after another. One thing I want to emphasize, too, because some people talk about, I know I kind of feel ungrounded, I kind of feel out of it sometimes. In all my experiences these years, when they have been around and when I've worked with the light, I have never felt out of it. I've never felt like a space cadet. It's been the exact opposite. It's like a moment I don't want it to end. Such clarity, such insight, such kind of inner confidence. It's actually sad when they leave because you just feel such an overwhelming presence and support. It's always this inspiration. This is what life really could be. This is how it really can be. And it's that loving touch they give us, and our job is to try to carry it through, the day and try to keep working it and building it stronger and more profound, and it will keep getting stronger. As we said at the beginning, those in the path, it's not a fire that stays lit for a week or a month. It's something that if people really lit in them, it continues to grow through the years.
It does, But I think in my case and other people's cases, when they're jarred by something so sudden, it takes a little while to incorporate that vibration. So now, years later, when Metatron comes, I'm not on fire anymore. I know he's there. I feel him, but it's sort of like being attuned to their energy.
Mm-hmm.
That becomes easier. And I think
sure.
that sometimes people who are sort of out of it or feel like space cadets, they're just not quite used to the vibration yet, maybe.
The vibration, or sometimes they're really not in tune with it. You know, sometimes it's, and this is what we describe in the book. There was a wonderful, I don't know if you know about Flower Newhouse. She was a clairvoyant and a mystic, and she did some wonderful things. She had Quest Haven here in Southern California, and her husband described, you know, sometimes people, they had such a desire to have that kind of experience that it invoked unconscious promptings where they had what he called the counterfeit experience, where it would seem like it was the higher talking, but it really wasn't. It was their own unconscious desires to have an experience with an angel. So they created literally the angel out of their own imagination. They gave it life.
A mega thought form, right?
Yeah, exactly. And that will create the space cadet feeling. In that case, it will. And he even warned, he said the problem with that is it can, again, invite the lower because they will use that kind of... So in the book, we talk about self-induced hallucinations. These are real. You know, many people that come here saying, oh, you know, I talk to the angels, I do this, I do that, you know. And, you know, when you tune into their aura, they're not really talking to the angels. It's their own desire to have that.
Oh, fascinating.
To have that. Now, sometimes the opposite happens. We had one gentleman come in, and he was having problems with the lower spirits. And he really was communicating with it. This was not an imaginative thing. He really was kind of caught in there. And really a whole exorcism had to be done with him. But interestingly enough, at the end of that, after it was finally cleared, you know, who knows how long this was an issue with him, his remark was, almost in a disappointed tone, oh, I don't hear them anymore.
Well, that's because you're taking away a friend. You know, I clear a lot of... You know, I clear a lot of negative energy, and I'll tell you what, people become very attached to their friends, and I hate to put it that way, but they are friends at that point.
Well, it's
and
sort of like misery loves company,
space.
right?
Yeah, it's a giant space that the voice isn't there anymore, you know.
And that's sometimes a difficult thing to let, as you said, to let go of, because it's, especially if it's been something you've been dealing with for a while. But the other thing to say here, it's okay to have that space for a while. Nature abhors a vacuum. So even if some of these lower energies have been cleared out, let it be that way for a moment until the higher energies can start filling it up again. It's like if you had a bunch of weeds in your yard and you finally got rid of them, at first the yard looks a little bare, you know, until the new flowers are planted there, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with it.
You're incredibly eloquent. You really are. You're describing this so perfectly. I think the problem is it's just like that friend you always fight with. If they're not there one day, you miss them.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people go through that. Yeah.
So there's where, you know, building up with the light, the inner confidence that you were saying at the very beginning. If I have confidence that I can get through this, it's just like if we have a friend that in physical life that's really not so good for us, but it's hard to let them go because at least they're there for us.
And they know us. Right.
Yeah, at least, you know, even though they're abusive to us, even though they you know, they're not with their worse for us, better than good for us, they're still there, so it counts for something.
It does. It absolutely does. It's familiar.
Yeah, it's familiar. That's a great way of putting it. It's they're familiar, and but we have to, again, something you've been saying before, you know, the inner confidence really is so important to realize that we have a sacred destiny. And wherever we are in that journey, living to our best ideal, you know, another thing that confuses people, and I know Barbara has said this many times, usually the weakest part in a person's aura is the emotional center down by the navel, because many times it's our emotions that trip us up more than anything else. We may be smart intellectually, we may have figured out a lot of stuff, but we let that emotion start to rule us, and it clouds the clarity. So one of the things we try to say is sometimes what the higher will say is not what you feel like doing at that particular moment, but what is the best thing to do at a particular moment. And even if you don't, quote unquote, feel like doing that, if it's in your best interest, there's the trust that you were talking about. Give it a shot and see what happens, and let the experience be your own judge, rather than repeating the same pattern over and over and over again and expecting a different result. If we can get a hold of that emotional part of us and realize it's the engine of our actions, but it's not the thinker. You know, if we try to make a decision based on our emotional mood, we might as well get into a car, start it, press in the accelerator, and say, car drive. There's nobody steering the ship.
And isn't that a perfect analogy? Because humans are often a ball of emotions. Emotions rule everything. And when you get on a spiritual path, don't you find that that reactive state starts dissipating?
Right, exactly, and that's so important. We get out of the instinctual dog-eat-dog mode. We start to live by the laws of spirit rather than the laws of the instinct. And there's a transformation there. You know, I come from a Mediterranean background, a Greek background. You're supposed to be emotional. You know, you're supposed to be like this. That's the way you're supposed to be. You know. And you know, look what's happened to Greece lately. It's got in a bit of trouble. Yeah. So, but you know, it'll paint us in a corner. But the way we teach is, you have to treat sometimes your emotions like an unruly child. If you give in to the spoiled, unruly child, you're only going to have a more spoiled and unruly child.
Yeah. Well, we truly are emotional ignoramuses, I think, in our American culture, but that is something I think we can get a handle on, because emotions are like rocket fuel. They're not bad. It's just that we rarely use them in the right way. We rarely work with them in the right way and take it all the way down to the bottom of what that emotion is trying to teach us. Just like anything else, you know, the angels are trying to teach us something. Our emotions are trying to teach us something as well. And oftentimes we either ignore them and go just to a spiritual path, which I think is a huge mistake, or we learn to work with them and find out what the message is and then join that up with the spiritual path.
Well, that, you know, there's where trying to get a handle on the emotions will be really also one of the master keys to kind of tie some of this evening's discussion to really reaching with a higher. If we can put aside some of the emotions of the moment and just listen with our intuition, because the intuition is not an emotion, then we will get more in touch. And when your emotions are where they need to be, when you have them married in the positive way with the positive thoughts, you will be a human dynamo. You will be able to accomplish things that you didn't even imagine possible. You will have vitality that you didn't imagine, because now you've directed that emotional, as you say, fire, that emotional stream in a productive channel. And we wonder, why are some people so productive? Why do they seem to have such a, you know, they're getting so much done and it doesn't seem to be, you know, as much effort to them? A lot of that is because they've got their emotions channeled in the right direction. And that's creating this fire that is helping them produce all these positive results.
So much work to be done, Dimitri.
Yeah.
We're all a work in progress, you know.
Yep. But God has faith in us, so we have to have faith in ourselves.
Well, we know we have to let you go because you have another commitment. So we thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight and being so generous with your time. And again, the name of the book, everybody, is Communing with the Divine, and Dimitri Moraitis is the author, along with Barbara Martin. Communing with the Divine, a clairvoyance guide to angels, archangels, and the spiritual hierarchy.
Great, and they can always go to our website, spiritualarts.org. By the way, we have a free webinar this weekend. If they sign up on the mailing list, they'll get invited there. A lot of things coming up, a lot of touring and all of that. So I thank you for having me on the show. It was a pleasure to work with both. Excuse me? You know, I'd love to. We've gone to the Adult Education Center there. We don't have anything planned at the moment, but I'd love to go to Boston.
Interesting.
Yeah, maybe in 2015. We're going to be in Texas in the fall. We've been touring a lot now in Chicago and some other places, but I'd love to come to the East Coast again. That would be wonderful.
Oh, great.
We'd love to have you here. And I see, again, there's so many questions still, waiting to be answered. They want to know exactly how to communicate with angels. And, again, I'm going to refer everybody who's called in to your great book, Communing with the Divine, A Clairvoyance Guide to Angels, Archangels, and the Spiritual Hierarchy. The book is available on Amazon.com, and it has a list of things that people can do to get in touch with angels. It's a great book, and thank you for writing it.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. Hope to work with you again soon. Take care.
Thank you, Dimitri.
We're going to have you back. We had such a great response.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Okay,
Dimitri.
we'll do it again.
Okay,
sure.
Everybody stay tuned. We've got some more things that Helene and I are going to keep talking about, so don't go anywhere. So, Helene, this has been a great show.
It was what a delightful person he is. I mean, he just was so eloquent and put it in such plain talk for people to understand.
Yeah,
and no,
exactly.
you can't force anybody. I thought he might have some magic bullet that makes people trust themselves,
Yeah, it would be
I
nice.
haven't been able to find it either, but, I mean, to help other people with actually crossing that line into 100% trust. It's just an evolution of your journey, that's all. And keep at it, everybody. Keep at it.
It can be had by all. And I like what he says, too, in the book about, they're with us all the time, and it's a matter of tuning in and raising our vibration to meet up with theirs. Because they're not lowering their vibration to meet up with us. So
no.
We've got to do the work of enlightenment here. And speaking of enlightenment, next week we have a very special guest coming up. And the guest is one of my teachers from 30 years ago. I know I'm dating myself, but I have to say it is the Venerable Dhani Yawahu, who I've talked about on the show a number of times. And she is also the director of the Sunray Meditation Society. She is a proponent of peace for the entire world. And she's going to be here with us. And I remember talking to Dhani at length many years ago about her experiences with the UFO people, with Bigfoot. I mean, she's
That's going to be awesome.
All of it. I know. I can't wait to get her on the show. Yeah. And she'll tell us about her peace promotional efforts and what she's trying to bring to the world today, which is so important for all of us. So that's going to be next week, Wednesday night, 7:30 to 9. And please, everyone, go to our website, supernaturalgirls.com, sign up for our newsletter so you'll be alerted to all the great shows, all the great giveaways, our prayer circles, all the cool stuff that we're doing. And, again, that's supernaturalgirls.com. Follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. We're going to be posting some of our photography that we've done during our spirit communication sessions. Now, the last photograph we took, Helene, was quite
awesome. You are
going
to post those, Patricia?
I'm
really?
Post. Yeah.
Oh, amazing stuff.
Yep, it's amazing.
Amazing stuff.
Yeah, we had that creature with the glowing eyes. That's the next one we're going to post.
He was a beautiful being, though. He
wasn't scary at all.
No, he was embodied peace and love and care of the earth, really. So,
but he was a dark entity.
Very different looking.
Yeah, but that's okay. It was like you can be different and you can have glowing eyes, and we love you anyways. So. So we will be posting all that stuff, and you're going to miss out if you're not following us on Twitter and Facebook. So make sure that you go to supernaturalgirls.com and click on those links to follow us and sign up for the newsletter. And Helene is also available for private sessions, and that's listed on our website. But you can also go to angelslighthouse.com, which is Helene's website, and you can even schedule a session with Helene right there on the site. It's really easy to do. So please take a look at Helene's website. It's beautifully done, and if you want to speak to Helene privately, she's available.
Well, thank you, Patricia, but you're available, too. And
I'm
that's
available.
on Supernatural Girls
available.
website. Yeah.
We are available.
So much fun.
And
so
then
much
next
fun.
Thursday,
I really enjoyed the show tonight.
This has been great. And next
week,
Thursday we have another prayer circle. So these prayer circles are growing in size. We've basically tripled the size of the first one. The last week we did it. It was just an amazing group of people that joined in. And you can either call in to the telephone line for the show, or you can just click the link on the Internet and listen in that way. Either way, doesn't matter. Each way will get you there. So be sure, again, to go to our website, sign up, follow us, and you'll be involved and included with every single thing we're doing, no matter how wild it is. So thanks, everybody, for joining us. It's been a wonderful show. Again, Dimitri's book, Communing with the Divine, A Clairvoyance Guide to Angels, Archangels, and the Spiritual Hierarchy. So thanks, Helene. It's been a wonderful evening.
It has. Good night, Patricia.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.